Here is the hook. You've caught yourself mid-sentence 3 times this week, not because you lost the thought, but because something underneath it felt suddenly dishonest. A face you hadn't thought about in years showed up in a dream, not dramatically, just present, watching. And there was that moment at the mirror, or in a store window, where you looked at yourself and felt something you couldn't name. Not dissatisfaction exactly, more like a question your reflection was asking you. Call it perceptual drift, the specific gap that opens when what you're drawn to and what you're actually seeing have quietly stopped matching. Most people accelerate through it. They make the decision faster, commit harder, turn up the volume. That's the wrong move, and the sky right now is why. What you've been registering is Venus conjunct Praesepe, the ancient Beehive Cluster, arriving at 7 degrees Leo, exact today, the 20th of June 2026. Your awareness was already tuning to it before the peak, and there's something about this particular configuration, the fixed star the ancients called the Eye of Blindness, meeting the planet of desire at full Leo radiance, that changes what love, beauty, and wanting actually cost you right now. Right now, your body is reading this transit before your mind does. You might feel that warm pressure behind your eyes, the slight ache in your chest when you look at something or someone you want. You pause on a song, an old photograph, a stranger's face in a cafe, and your heart leans forward before your logic can catch up. Or you feel strangely tired for no reason, then suddenly wired at midnight with memories, what-ifs, and vivid scenes that never quite happened. You felt it, didn't you? A hum in your sternum. A restless scanning for something without a name. Some of you are riding this as excitement, a sense that life is about to get interesting again, that a sweetness you thought you missed out on is circling back. Others are feeling it as agitation, a low-grade anxiety that makes you want to fix, decide, or escape. Both are valid. Both are signs you are plugged into what the sky is doing tonight. Stay with me until the end of this, because by the time we are done, you will know exactly which part of your life this beehive energy is targeting and what to do with it. Do not skip ahead. The last few minutes carry the piece that makes everything you are feeling right now click into place. There are 3 main ways this transit is touching people. One group is standing on the edge of a romantic or emotional decision that has been building for months, and the pressure to define it is peaking right now. Another group is looking at money, work, or a creative project that once felt beautiful and full of promise, and noticing a fine hairline crack in the fantasy. A third group has been flooded with memory, dreams, old songs, people from decades ago, as if the past is running a highlight reel just off to the side of your vision. If you recognize even one of these, this Venus beehive moment is speaking directly to you. I am going to explain exactly what this means. Stay with me. But first, you need to understand the sky you are standing under tonight. Venus forms a conjunction with Praesepe, the Beehive Cluster, at 7 degrees of Leo, exact today, June 20th, 2026. Right around the moment evening deepens and the first stars puncture the sky. Venus is the part of the chart that speaks in the language of wanting, love, attraction, beauty, money, what you call worth it. Leo is fixed fire, bold, dramatic, unapologetically visible. It turns Venus from a private preference into a public declaration. This is what I love. This is who I want. This is what I stand by. The beehive itself, Praesepe, is a hazy swarm of ancient stars, a cluster long associated with collective longing and the kind of blindness that comes from being dazzled. When Venus walks straight into it, as she does now, desire and haze occupy the same degree. The cosmic mechanic is simple. Venus meets Praesepe in Leo and asks your heart to light up even as your vision blurs. This is why you may feel pulled so strongly tonight, and yet strangely unsure what you are actually looking at. The transit is potent because the sign, the planet, and the star all emphasize the same axis: magnetism, glamour, and the cost of ignoring what lies behind the glow. Stop. Feel that pulse? That is the transit activating in you. Think back to the first week of June. Around the 3rd to the 6th, the emotional weather hardened a little. Conversations about money, commitment, or long-term plans felt stickier. You may have heard, "Not yet, prove it," or "We need to slow this down," from someone else or from your own cautious mind. Where today feels like a bright, humming question, that earlier window felt like a wall, or at least a speed bump. Plans delayed, messages unanswered, invitations that did not quite land. That was not punishment, that was compression. Pressure built inside a container so that tonight could matter. Imagine a jar you have been filling slowly, with all the unspoken maybes and somedays around love, beauty, and value. For the past 2 to 3 weeks, that jar has been filling faster. Every time you compromised what you really wanted, every time you said it's fine when it was not, every time you let nostalgia stand in for honest evaluation, another drop went in. Now, as Venus fuses with the beehive, the lid is loosening. The contents are not exploding, they are becoming visible. The universe owes you something and is finally paying you what you deserve in clarity. The ability to see the pattern you have been living, not just the fantasy you have been feeding. And here is where the energy shifts from theory to something very personal. Because this is not just about wanting differently. It is about who you become when the veil around your own desires starts to thin. Leo, your moment has arrived. For you, this conjunction is not an abstract weather report. It is a spotlight switching on over your actual life. You have been wrestling with the question of visibility. How much of your true desire you dare to show? How much of your longing you tuck behind competence, jokes, or graciousness? Recently, you may have felt strangely split between the version of you people admire and the quieter self who aches for something more intimate, more creatively risky, or more honest than your current script allows. Tonight, the beehive lights up your first house, the field of identity, body, and presence. Venus here is the veiled goddess in your own skin. You are both the performer and the backstage crew, painting your face and then catching your own eye in the mirror. Praesepe adds a shimmer that can either blind you with applause or illuminate the gap between what you project and what you actually crave. According to the Born's Ptolemaics, the first 6 degrees of Aries belong to Jupiter, not Mars. In that zone, true action flows from vision instead of raw force. In the same spirit, this Venus activation repays you not for pushing harder, but for daring to imagine a life that actually fits your heart. The external promise is real. Invitations arrive, social, romantic, creative. Someone sees you with fresh eyes, or you realize a room you thought you had to shrink for is actually ready to meet you at your full expression. Offers to collaborate, to be featured, to lead or host, start clustering like bees around honey. Money may follow, but the deeper currency is recognition that feels deserved, not accidental. Inside, the shift is quieter but far more radical. You are being paid back for all the years you learned to dim yourself to keep the peace. The universe owes you experiences where your authenticity is not a liability, but the very thing that opens doors. The veil here is the old belief that being fully you is too much. Here is the hidden message: your heart was never the problem, the rooms were too small. And this is your breakthrough, not a performance, but a reclamation of your own face. And here is where the energy shifts again, because there is another layer of this story that wants your attention. Cancer, you are standing at the gates of your own history tonight. For you, Venus walking into the beehive stirs not just current desire, but ancestral memory. The last few weeks may have felt like a tide of remember when, old homes on real estate sites, late night scrolling through messages from someone long gone, the sudden urge to cook a recipe your grandmother used to make. You are not being sentimental for no reason. Your emotional body has been doing reconnaissance, testing which attachments still nourish you and which are just familiar. This transit activates your 12th house, the deep storage of the psyche, dreams, secrets, and the stories your family never said out loud but lived anyway. Venus here is blind Eros wandering through a hallway of portraits, touching each one and asking, "Do you still belong to me?" Praesepe's haze blurs the edges between then and now. You may project an old lover onto a new person, or imagine that a current connection can heal something that happened years or generations ago. Yet the promise here is not more confusion. It is repayment in the form of emotional sovereignty. Life has been keeping a kind of ledger. All the times you carried the emotional labor, all the times you chose stability over your own radiance, all the instances where you stayed loyal to a story that did not love you back. Tonight opens a window to see one of those patterns clearly and set it down. Here is the hidden message. You are not obligated to reenact the past, no matter how beautiful parts of it were. Externally, this can look like an ending you did not know you were ready for, finally blocking a number, clearing a box of mementos, or deciding not to just check their profile again. It can also bring an unexpected message or encounter that shows you, with startling honesty, how far you have grown. This is your quiet reset, not flashy, but deeply freeing. So far, we have explored how this Venus beehive peak rewrites the story of self and the story of family loyalty. You can already feel it when your reflection, or an old memory, suddenly asks for a straight answer instead of another excuse. Write it down in a single sentence. Right now, what I most want is, then ask, is this about love, beauty, or worth? Naming it clearly channels the beehive's diffuse hum into a single point. When you stop scattering your attention across every shiny possibility, you give the universe a clean target to pay you in alignment instead of confusion. Second, build a simple foundation under that desire. If it is romantic, that might mean getting honest about your current availability, time, emotional bandwidth, existing commitments. If it is creative or financial, it might mean looking at your actual schedule and numbers instead of operating on hope. Foundations are not punishment. They are the floor that lets Venusian magic land without shattering. A beautiful dream deserves a container strong enough to hold it. Third, expect resistance and walk through it consciously. When you start seeing clearly, some part of you will want to go back to the old haze. It was comfortable not to know. You might feel the urge to pick a fight, numb out, or distract yourself with another fantasy. Notice that urge and name it. This is the part of me that fears clarity. Then take one small aligned action anyway. Send the honest message, adjust the budget, pause before you respond. Each time you do, you train your system to associate truth with safety, not threat. And finally, keep your ego on a short, loving leash. Compliments, attraction, opportunities, they may all spike right now. Receive them, enjoy them. But before you make any life-altering declaration, ask, am I doing this to be seen or because this is actually right? Let your answer be quiet, not performative. Humility here does not mean shrinking. It means letting your choices be anchored in reality, not in the need to be dazzling. Which of the three revelations we walked through about identity, history, or resources hits closest to home for you? Drop it in a comment in your own words. Naming it out loud is your first act of seeing clearly. Between June 27th and July 1st, another layer of this story activates. Old emotional threads finally untangle and bring clarity. Unresolved conversations spiral into confusion and mistrust. It is binary. There is no in-between. What determines which side you land on is whether you pause to listen before you speak. I will give you the precise mechanic in the next video. The beehive has stung dreamers for 2,000 years, and right now, Venus is walking straight into its heart. That sting is not punishment. It is a question the sky has been holding for you. What have you refused to see because the beauty of it felt too precious to disturb? Today, with Venus at 7 degrees Leo, you have the rare clarity to look. The glow is real, so is what it hides. Love boldly and see clearly. These are not opposites. They are the only combination that survives a transit like this one. The stars have been reading you tonight. Let that land. You are not a passive witness to these energies. You are part of the pattern. Carry that forward with open eyes and a steady heart. Unlock your destiny before tomorrow. Right now, Venus is walking into the beehive. Tell me in the comments, what beautiful illusion are you finally ready to see clearly? Love, a project, or something else entirely? Subscribe if you want weekly guidance on exactly these rare planetary windows before they close. When Venus moves on, the August eclipse begins to speak, and the story gets even more personal. Unlock your destiny before tomorrow.